What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. This is, or it is, Thursday, February 20th. Sounds right? Sure, why not? And we are going to do some post-Super Bowl power rankings. Just kidding. This is Friday, February 21st. I'm wrong again. I don't know where I am since I got back from Los Angeles.
Well, it isn't February 21st on a Friday either.
Well, it's for the listeners, it is, and for the viewers, it is. It's how the magic of
Valentine's Day was Monday, February 14th. So that would make
February. Oh, I just read that wrong. Monday. It's actually Friday, February 18th, and that is Pete Prisco's voice you hear. I mean, are you Pete is joining me to break down his power rankings. If you're watching on YouTube, press the like button, subscribe, turn on alerts, and tell us your who you think should be the number one team in Pete's rankings in the comments. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. Pete, are you having trouble readjusting to East Coast life now that we're back from Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, since no, look, I flew back. I got home at like 7:00 Monday night. Yesterday, I sat in my seat at 8:30 to do a hit on power rankings that they never told me I wasn't doing, and I was ready to go. And ran around a little bit yesterday, and here I am today, right back with you.
Right back in the saddle. A few minutes with us, and then you hop on the old HQ. Make sure to check out Pete on CBS.
Combine, 2 weeks, baby.
Are we going? I don't know. My wife keeps asking me. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I know I'm going.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll tell me a week before. That's fine. I don't like
2 days before.
The compressed schedule with the extra week is very annoying, by the way.
It's weird. It's just weird. There's no downtime.
There's no downtime. Rams are having the Super Bowl parade right now as we were recording this on Wednesday. So let's get right to it. The Rams have to be the number one team. They won the Super Bowl, right?
Well, they are the number one team, and they earn the right to be in the number one spot. Look, before the season started, you guys like you were all bullish on the Rams. You didn't pick them to win it, though, but you were bullish on the Rams. And I thought that they would have some problems because I thought that they would have some issues in terms of depth. I didn't think they'd win it all. Got to give them credit. They went for it, and they got it. And they've earned the right to be in that number one spot.
By the way, a lot of people concerned, saying that the Rams, who are the third favorite in terms of the Super Bowl odds at William Hill, and we'll sort of compare this. And I agree with you. We talked about it before the show. If the Rams win the Super Bowl, they got to be number one at the end of the season power ranks. Now, come next year, stuff's going to change. So if you want to move them down, you want to move them around, you can do that.
Well, yeah, like if Aaron Donald retired, they'd go down. If Sean McVay left, they'd go down. These, by the way, they're not a first look at next year's power rankings. They're kind of like a look at this past season with a hint and a lean towards next year. Let's put it that way.
Sean McVay, by the way, this is from Andrew Siciliano, who's hosting the coverage of the Rams parade on NFL Network, says that Sean McVay is currently yelling, "Run it back" at Aaron Donald. So maybe a hint that perhaps that retirement is maybe a year off or even 2 years off.
I don't think they're going to retire. I think they're going to try and go for it again. Why would you retire? You go for it again.
Well, and to your point, like the Buccaneers, we're not going to talk about them until because they're not in the top 10 because Tom Brady's gone. Aaron Rodgers might end up being traded. You got the Packers at 6. They're 6th in the Super Bowl odds, so that actually checks out. But if
I think he's coming back, by the way.
Oh, you do?
I think Rodgers coming back.
Is that your gut?
I thought that all along. Yeah, that's my gut. I've thought that all along.
Oh, really?
Your legacy is in Green Bay. They're going to finagle a way to get him a good contract. They'll keep his buddy Devontae Adams. They'll make another go for it. What's the great thing about going to Denver, by the way? Is that a better situation?
No, not even close. And the other thing about Green Bay is you're sort of protected in terms of what you can say and what you can do because you've been there so long, the building. He did the McAfee show all year long and said, lots of stuff like different, nobody's saying anything, right? Nobody in Green Bay is like, hey, like, why don't you turn it down a little bit? You go to a new organization, you got to deal with that. So I would tend to agree. Like, I think if he doesn't retire, he probably stays in Green Bay. But
if he plays, there's always the chance he retires.
Yeah.
I guess saw today that it's official. He broke up with his fiance, so now he's
I saw that as well.
Single again. So What does that mean for his life? And does he continue to play now? There's no thought of settling down and having a family.
Poor guy just can't close it out anymore. He lost in the next to last round again in the with his fiance. Fell one round short. Lost in the championship game again.
Well, sometimes that could end up being a win too.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure.
Yeah, it's better. Sure. It's better to not get there than get there and lose.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you don't want to get to the Super Bowl and lose it in this metaphor. That's for sure.
So you don't know what happened. But again, he's single supposedly, and maybe that refocuses him back on playing next year. And I think he plays. I think he plays for the Packers. I think there's something to be said about a legacy, and he kind of hinted at that when he was getting his MVP. By the way, I voted for him, so I wasn't the guy who voted for Cooper Kupp.
It was Marcus.
I know it was.
Oh, Mike.
So I think he plays, and that's why I have the Packers where they're at in those power rankings.
So in the NFC, the odds at William Hill, Rams are 10-1, 49ers are 14-1, the Packers are 15-1, Cowboys 16-1, Bucks 18-1, that's a terrible number with no Brady, and the next team down is the Cardinals at 25-1, and then a pretty big drop off. The Saints at 35-1, Seahawks at 40-1 are probably my favorite value. When you look at those top teams in the NFC, is there anybody? I was giving out. Well, I'm an idiot. I was giving out championship odds to win the NFC. You can see those on the screen on YouTube. Rams 4.5, 49ers 5.5, Packers 6, Cowboys 6.5, so on and so forth. You think that's kind of the right order there, Peter? Most of those numbers are correct.
What's so bullish on the 49ers if they're going to have Trey Lance playing quarterback? Do we even know what he can do?
No, we don't.
Okay, I think those are a little high. It's a good roster.
Tampa's a little high too. I mean, 8.5-1 with no Tom Brady, right?
Yeah, but they're probably thinking they might get a guy like Deshaun Watson or somebody like that. That's what those odds. I think they're building that in because Blaine Gabbert's their quarterback. They're not that high, so I think they think they're going to get a quarterback.
Well, I mean, and also it's worth noting
Dallas is interesting at their number, but because they're still so talented, and so that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean,
there's got to be somebody come from down the line. You know that, Will.
I mean, what's Seattle to win the NFC? 18-1 to win the NFC. That's not bad.
I don't like the makeup of that team.
I don't either, but I mean, 18-1 is not terrible.
I think. What are the Eagles?
18-1 as well. And that's just to get to the Super Bowl, not to win it, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but you look at the Eagles. They got 3 first-round picks. And they have a lot of good, young, talented players who are going to take the next step. I mean, that's a team to keep an eye on. And again, it all goes back to Hurts. If Hurts can take the next step, then they could be, one of those teams that can take the next step. They did make the playoffs. We forget that.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And it's worth noting too that with the Packers and the Buccaneers, Caesars here is just trying to limit their exposure. I think a lot of sports books got burnt by Rodgers last year because it was just assumed he was not going to play or be traded. I got the Packers to win the NFC North at it was 5-1 or something. No, it was 2.5-1. I mean, it was just a ridiculous number before the season. And then they had, Packers were 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. So they don't want that situation to unfold and backfire on them again like it did last year. So that's probably why those odds are where they are.
What team from 20-1 down has a chance to be the sleeper team?
Like I said, I mean, I think the Seahawks just because they have Russ. Scroll down 20-1, Devo. Let's see who's I think the Panthers could be one if
they got Watson.
Yeah, if they got Watson. The Giants at 50-1 if they got Russ. Or I don't think they trade for Watson, but who knows? That would
What's Washington's odds?
Washington's 28-1. Don't hate that.
No, there's the team. If they get a quarterback, and they will get a quarterback now, whether it comes in the draft or as a veteran, they will have a new quarterback. That's a given.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Washington. I think some of these teams. Atlanta. Matt Ryan, second year in the system. Maybe Kyle Pitts takes a leap. Ridley comes back. I just think you got somebody with Atlanta and Carolina or New Orleans there where they could sneak out of that division potentially. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about the AFC. Okay, as mentioned, you have the Bill. Oh, we didn't mention that actually. Bills 3, Chiefs 4. If you were doing your preseason power rankings right now, would they be 1 and 2? Not knowing anything about what's going down.
Yeah, I mean, they would be probably 1-2. I mean, they didn't make it, but they'd be 1-2. I
Yeah.
still think with those two guys throwing the ball around, and I thought it was interesting this week that Brandon Beam came out and said they got to get better on the offensive line,
I didn't hear you
and
say that.
yeah, which is I thought that all along. I thought they were just okay up front. They need to get better. I mean, it's clear if your offensive line stinks, and a lot of them do, you're going to have problems. Now, the Bengals somehow maneuvered around that all year, which is an amazing story. By the way, the Rams' interior at times struggled the big way too. And I think, the offensive line play in the league is terrible. So if I'm looking into this draft, I'm saying if I have a franchise quarterback, I got to get somebody to help protect them.
You got the Titans at 6, and you point out that Ryan Tannehill probably fine in that offense. Pats at 10. Pats, I mean,
they're an interesting team. They're an interesting team because I think Mac Jones will get better. I don't know how much better, but they like a lot of guys did. Like Jonnu Smith was a waste last year. They're going to get him going next year.
Kendrick Bourne was a good surprise though.
Yeah, and I think the receivers played okay. They still need to get help there, but they're an interesting team because they're going to be hanging around all year long. I never thought they were as good as they were when they were the 1 seed, but they're going to hang around and be one of those teams that might crest and get better as the playoffs start next year.
If Aaron Rodgers went to either the Broncos or the Dolphins, which is something I heard, but not from like an NFL, so just there's a buzz about it. They're at 19 and 22 respectfully. Where would they move up? Ooh, look at those. Wait, is that Dolphins are 20-1 to win the AFC? Interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't take them with Tua, but
no,
if Aaron Rodgers ended up there, those odds would go significantly higher. What would they be? 6-1, 8-1?
I mean, who's at the top there? Debo, scroll up. What are the Chiefs? Chiefs play like? I mean, they wouldn't be above the. Yeah, I mean, probably 6-1. I mean, I would have rather had the Dolphins with Rodgers than the Bengals to win to go back to go to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing is the Colts sound like they're ready to get a new quarterback too.
I mean, it sounds like they're just going to cut Carson Wentz if they can't trade him. I don't know who the hell would trade for him.
Where do you get their quarterback though? If you get rid of Carson Wentz, where are you getting your quarterback?
Seattle.
You're going to go make a run for Wilson.
I guess they can't do that because they don't have a first-round pick.
If you're Seattle, why are you getting rid of Russell Wilson and making?
I don't think Seattle gets rid of Wilson. I
don't either. So what quarterback's going to be out there? Jimmy Garoppolo will be out there.
Jimmy G's out there.
I still don't think Rodgers is going to be there. Deshaun Watson will be there.
Jameis, they can't. Yeah,
Jameis Winston will be there. But look at the teams that need quarterbacks. Washington needs a quarterback. The Colts might need a quarterback.
Carolina
Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. Miami says they have one, but we'll see. I mean,
Miami and the Giants are kind of the same. Miami and the Giants are kind of the same boat. Like they're like, oh, we have this guy, but I mean, it wouldn't shock anybody if they traded for somebody.
There's a lot of teams with quarterback uncertainty.
Steelers need a quarterback. Saints need a quarterback.
Not a lot of bodies to fill.
I know. Looking at I saw Mike. Denver needs one. I saw Mike Clay tweet out like the list of free agents you can buy. It's a lot like 2013. Just not a ton of available options. Because all these guys are retiring, so you can't. You're able to go out and get Tom Brady before. You're able to go out and there's just like Phillip Rivers you could grab. Now it's like, I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, good luck finding one this offseason. It's going to drive the price of these guys way up, right? Like Jimmy, they might get a first for Jimmy G now.
No way.
Conditional first.
No way. Zero chance of that. I would be astounded. Okay. And I wouldn't give. I'll be honest. If I was a general manager, I wouldn't give. I like Jimmy G more than most.
I wouldn't give a first either. I'm just saying.
No.
I'm saying if the market is so thin, like it's just Watson with his stuff lingering, Jimmy G, Jameis, or one of these draft quarterbacks. Man, are we going to see these draft quarterbacks pushed way up because of this?
Yes, way up. Too high. Maybe none of them should go in the first round, and you could have 4 of them go in the first round.
Oh my goodness!
That's what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those situations where everybody goes too high. I mean, they're going to talk them. They're going to talk themselves into it. You watch.
You didn't talk yourself into moving the Jaguars up higher than 31.
Got to see what they do in the offseason. The way that roster is constructed right now. No, I mean they have no speed. The offensive line is in flux. I mean, the center's probably, could be gone. The left guard is a free agent. The right guard's a free agent. The left tackle's an unrestricted free agent, and maybe they'll tag him if they don't. They could, if I were them, I'd sign Armstead and get rid of him, and then draft Neal to play right tackle and get rid of the other guy. That's what I would do.
That'd be a nice little combo.
Yeah, you got to get better on. If the last 2 Super Bowls haven't taught us something, it's get better on the offensive line. If your offensive line, if you have a quarterback who can throw the football and your offensive line stinks, you better improve there.
Well, I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes go down. I mean, Joe Burrow, the difference in that game was them being unable to stop Aaron Donald in that pass rush. I mean, that was.
And in that game from the start, even when he wasn't getting sacked early, you could see the clock in his head. Well, that sped up.
At 4th and 1, he had Higgins open on the left side or whatever, and he's just trying to get it out so fast because he knows that Donald is bearing. He knows these guys are just coming after him.
Well, he had P. Ryan out of the backfield, and he had Higgins both on the right side, and he tried to squeeze it in there. And his clock was so fast the other day, and I thought he knew that he couldn't protect them. And you can't play. It's hard to play quarterback that way. It really is, and he did it. He maneuvered through the playoffs that way, but it's hard to play quarterback that way.
I mean, he got sacked 17 times in the playoffs. That's an insane number.
I think it was 19.
Oh, it's 19, yeah, because Crosby got it once or twice too.
Yeah, I mean, that's 70 in the regular season and the playoffs. That can't happen.
No, I mean, they're lucky he only sprained his MCL. Burrow, he could have easily retore his ACL.
Yeah, and I just think that if they could have protected him even a little bit better, they win the game.
The Chargers and Colts. And actually, this is an interesting little chunk of teams here. Chargers at 13, Colts at 14, Raiders at 15, Ravens at 16, and Steelers at 17. Like all those teams, and I think you got a pretty, I think that's a good cluster of teams because we know the Steelers will, be able to figure something out at quarterback. Like they're a smart organization. The Ravens should bounce back with their injuries. The Colts have a stable roster, but that Wentz thing is a problem. And then it's like, can the Chargers get the most out of Justin Herbert and not waste his rookie deal, which is kind of, what's happened so far. Who, if you had to pick one of those teams right now to be like Chargers?
Yeah. I think they're legitimate. I didn't like some of the coaching decisions. I don't shy away from that. I thought he had a rocky first season. There were games where he was just simply outcoached. I know people don't believe that, but he was. And I do think he'll be better in the second year because he's a smart guy, and they'll be better. So I think of those teams, the Chargers are the one. The Ravens are interesting because, they had so many injuries and health and COVID, and Lamar got hurt. And so
Lamar got COVID.
And talking to Mark Andrews, they're all going to start getting together again soon and start throwing the football around. That's, in their own private workouts, which I think is big. And so I do like the Ravens if they can improve the outside passing game. Yep. Mark Andrews caught a ton of balls in a great year, but you got to get more than you got to get more from Hollywood Brown. You got to get more from Bateman. You got to get more from those guys. And I think going forward, they will. And Lamar, first one in, last one out. So he'll work at it. So the Ravens will be interested to see what they can do to kind of supplement what they already have.
The Browns right now at 20-1 to win the AFC, and you've got them. So you have the Saints in there at 18, and then another Broncos and Browns at 19 and 20, and Dolphins at 22. This feels like the Browns are. This is like where the Browns should have been priced last year. Like the Browns are appropriately priced right now, and it was like last year, the hype was just ridiculous. The win total was out of control. It's just, I mean, and maybe you can even talk me into them being like 15-1 or 13-1 in that group. Because if they're healthy, it'll be a different story. But God, I mean, like, do you trust Baker Mayfield? I mean, do we trust, I mean, I don't know. It's just that the hype got to be too much for Cleveland.
But they had a ton of injury and COVID situations too last year. Give me rank the division, the North right now.
I would say Cincinnati 1, Baltimore 2, Cleveland 3, Pittsburgh 4.
So would I. That's
just because I don't know what the deal with Big Ben
is. If Pittsburgh ended up with a guy like Rodgers or Watson or Wilson, then they'd flip to 1.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
The Steelers would be 1 easily if they had either Rodgers or Wilson for sure. Ravens, I feel like they're probably the steadiest team. I mean, I do have concerns about I guess Burrow's not having, he's not having surgery, but that
Nah,
offensive
he's
line.
fine. That's nothing. That's not.
that-
Look, they can address they can sign a guy in free agency if they need be. Don't forget, they were playing without their starting right tackle. Riley Reef was their starting right tackle. He got hurt. And they signed him to be on a 1-year deal to be their starting right tackle.
Yep.
So that's, the right guard situation's bad. The center isn't very good. And the left guard's an unrestricted free agent who didn't play that well in the Super Bowl. But so they need to shore up the interior more than anything. But if you wanted to, you could do this too. You could sign a guy like Armstead, stick him at left tackle, or maybe even put him at right tackle. Let Jonah Williams play left tackle. Just, you got to be able to protect that guy.
Is Jonah Williams a free agent?
No, he is not.
Did they pick him his 5th-year option? I can't remember.
He's not a free agent.
Okay. Or maybe he's eligible for an extension is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get better they can get better on the offensive line. They could say they wanted to sign a center. They could sign Brian Allen if you wanted to from the Rams.
Jonah Williams, they could pick up Jonah Williams' 5th-year option this year. He's only been 3 years. God, it just feels like longer.
Austin Corbett is a guard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guards out there. You can find guys. So if they want to shore up their offensive line with some, if you want to stay away from the big contract of an Armstead, you can shore it up with a couple other guys and then draft some guys. And the kid Carmen they drafted last year, they drafted 3 offensive linemen last year. They drafted Carmen, they drafted Smith from East Carolina, and then they drafted one other, and not a one of them worked out so far. But sometimes guys take a leap from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with those offensive linemen, it's hard to definitively say like how somebody's going to do. Like out of the gate. Sometimes you just don't succeed out of the gate. That was sort of the exception, not the rule, with like Tristan Wirfs and all those younger guys 2 years ago. All right, any other thoughts on the AFC? Let's pick a sleeper bring those odds back up, Debo. We'll pick a 20 to 1 or more for the AFC. 1 second.
20 to 1 or more for the AFC, huh?
Yeah, it's not fun looking down there. I guess Cleveland and Miami. So yeah. Steelers at 30 to 1. If you think they're going to be aggressive and go get somebody like a big name,
like if they're going to get a quarterback, those are good odds.
Yeah, I think the Steelers would be my pick there.
If they play with Mason Rudolph, then those are odds where they should be even higher.
Yeah, it should be like 50 to 1 if it's Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Raiders feel a little bit like a paper tiger. They got a lot of changes they're dealing with. Oh, McDaniels maybe comes in and they're good right away. I mean, I can see Derek Carr being good at McDaniels' scheme. I don't see them.
Carr will be fine. They'll be an interesting. That's a decent odds for them right there.
The problem is
the division's brutal.
Right.
I mean, let's just say for the sake of the argument that the Broncos do get a quarterback. The Raiders, that's a brutal division for the Raiders.
Right. The Raiders would have a good roster, smart coach, good quarterback, and they'd be easily the worst team in the division.
What is Jacksonville's odds?
60 to 1. That's a joke. It should be like 10,000 to 1. I guess the Bengals were in the Super Bowl in Joe Burrow's second year, right?
It's not if they got, I like Doug Peterson hire. I don't like Balky still being there, but
yeah,
you got draft picks and money. You got capital and money. The draft capital and money. You should be able to fix that next year.
Bad division.
8-8. Yeah, the division's terrible. Say there's no Wentz in Indianapolis. That team, they beat the Colts every time they play them almost.
I know.
Or at least play with them. And then the Texans aren't very good. And the Titans, they're physical.
Titans are good, but
they're limited.
Yeah, and I saw somebody point out that sometimes there's like a stat breakdown that running backs start to lose their effectiveness after 1,500 carries in the NFL, and Derrick Henry just went over that. So, if he wore down or got hurt again next year, it wouldn't be that shocking. Jacksonville,
they had offensive line issues all year too. Who doesn't? That's the key in the NFL. Who doesn't have offensive line? If your offensive line's good, you're going to be good.
If Jacksonville was 100 to 1, I'd be interested in that. 60 to 1's not enough for me. Yeah. They're not going to the Super Bowl. All right, that'll do it for the podcast. Short and sweet, just like Pete Prisco.
I'll take it.
And plus, we want to give you a break before you have to go do an hour on HQ to talk about these exact
on the power rankings.
I don't know how you're going to get an hour out of these.
We're going to go one by one. Me and BMAC, every team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. Well, you can check that out on a replay because it'll already be out there on CBS Sports HQ. Follow Pete on Twitter at Prisco CBS. Great seeing you in LA, Pete. Maybe
you were only there for about 4 days, though.
Maybe I'll see you in Indy.
We missed you on game day, buddy.
Oh God, I didn't miss it. I'll tell you that much.
No.
All right, man. Thanks again.
See ya.
See ya.